SimWorld presents Around the Table with Big Bob and the Maestro.
What's up, everybody? It's the B.O.B., and I am here with my man, Maestro. Maestro, how are you doing today?
It's all you, my fun size boo. Big Bob, how you feeling, baby?
I am great. How are you doing today?
Outstanding, my brother. Outstanding. Just can't wait to get it chopped up with you.
Absolutely. This is Around the Table with Big Bob and the Maestro. I'm Big Bob, that's Maestro, and this is the podcast that we talk about whatever we want. So today, we want to talk a little bit about, we touched on the SWFL a little bit last week. This week, we want to talk a little bit about the Combine. Just it wrapped up a couple days ago over the weekend. And, you know, there's always some controversy. The Combine itself is a little controversial. It's a little, is it a pony show? Are people actually going out and really giving it their all? Whatever. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the SWFL Combine or Combines in general? I mean, I primarily, if I ever watch them, it's almost always the SWFL. I don't really focus too much on other sports combines, but I feel like it's put out there more so we know about it. And it's 4 days, 5 days? Who knows how long it is anymore? But what are your thoughts on the general idea of the Combine and what it really is?
Well, you know, man, okay. First of all, the NFL keeps proving why it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, because if you add up everything from the TV, local revenues, everything else, it earns in the trillions of dollars a year. I think one point it was estimated at around $3 trillion a year. And in an industry that big, there are a lot of people who do not get paid. So, you know, a lot of people who work in the various locker rooms and clubhouses and stuff like that are either interns or they're on some sort of deal with the stadium. They get tickets for the games, but they don't actually get paid. And you know, same thing goes in Major League Baseball. But when it comes back to the NFL or SWFL, our reality is this. This is an industry fighting to be in the whatever century this is, that still is connected back to its early days of when owners used to go in and meet in these back of the strip club hotel rooms to talk about how the season was going to go back before it was called the NFL. And so you have all these antiquated things like the Combine. And so actually I'm letting you know how I feel about it, right? Antiquated in that we already seen these cats play in college. We have all this tape. We have all this footage about them, and you can interview them over Zoom. Why do we get together? Obviously, there's lots of trade talks going on right now. Obviously, there's lots of other things about reorganization. They're talking about how they're going to split up funding and revenue and things like that. And that's really what it's about. The players being there is sort of like the sideshow. And if I've seen you, Big Bob, if I've seen you play 2, 3, 4 years in college and you're a monster there, I don't need to see you in your underwear. Well, maybe I want to see you in your underwear. I don't know, underwear Olympics, I guess. you know, I don't necessarily need to see you run around in your underwear and see how fast you can run when you're an old lineman, and I just need you to stop bad people from hurting my quarterback. There's certain things about it that are so antiquated, but have become part of the culture. We accept it. So that's kind of where I come down on it. What about you?
Well, his hands are too small. His arms are too short. Like
exactly.
It is one of those things, and I can't remember. I think we did talk about it a little bit last week. It's like we do everything we can. It's a how can we make things look as good as possible for us? Like, how can we get the best player at the lowest possible pick? And it's, his arms are too short. I don't think he'll be able to block people in the NFL. And then he falls to the spot you want him to. I'm split on it. There are times where there are players who come to the Combine who you don't know about, you don't really know anything about, and they significantly increase their draft stock, or they just get their name out there. And I think it's good in that sense, but we definitely have it as it's a dog and pony show. That's just what it is. It's, like you said, why do I care what kind of 40 time somebody runs? Jerry Rice didn't run the greatest 40 time for a wide receiver. And he went down as, I would not personally pick him as my number one wide receiver if I was building a team and had to pick a receiver, but I am also biased. I think Randy Moss is the greatest talent to ever play that position. Anyways, but Jerry Rice, you didn't have to be a 4-4, a 4-3 guy at receiver to play the position well, because once you put those pads on, your 4.2 speed, 4.28 speed, whatever you want to have, it doesn't matter anymore. And that was the thing. Jerry Rice, Jerry Rice ran, it seemed like he ran faster with the pads on. It's all about, I don't want to say it's all about heart, but sometimes it's all about heart. And it's that work that you put in. Tom Brady did not, and Tom Brady's going to be used forever, for the rest of ever. He did not have this amazing combine. He looked like a 12-year-old boy standing out there in his underwear, like all the old men wanted to see. He was out there he looked like, again, he had the build of a 12-year-old. Greatest quarterback of all time, because of the work that he put in where other people couldn't see. It's that film review. It's that unfortunately relationship breaker where you're spending so much time trying to perfect your craft and be the best player that now you're divorced and who knows when you get to see your kids. Sorry, Tom. That's what it is. But that was
too soon.
That was too soon. It's the greats. You can have all the talent in the world, but it's that old saying is hard work out. Is it hard work outplays talent or whatever it is? What is it? It's like hard work outplays something like that. Yeah, whatever.
It's Google it, family, and you can drop it down below in the comments.
There you go. But you can have all the talent in the world. Jamarcus Russell had the biggest arm coming out of college, and he went to. Now I will blame the Raiders organization. They are. If Russell would have went somewhere where maybe there was a little bit more structure, maybe he would have done well. I appreciated seeing him try and make a comeback a few years ago. It never turned out to be anything, but it all depends on your willingness to put that effort in. When you go to the next level, like when you're in high school, you're bigger, better, and faster than everybody that's out there. You go to college, and they're a little closer. You still might be a little faster than everybody, and you can get away with it. But when you hit the professional level, the SWFL level, wherever, you hit the field, and that 340-pound defensive lineman, is going to be able to catch your 4.2 running back before he even hits the line. It's exactly. That the numbers aren't everything. The numbers are an extremely small part. I will say I was a little disheartened I looked at the bench press numbers, and it's just not it's the bench, and again it's I don't know, it's not a thing anymore. Their numbers are so low. You had Pea a few years ago, he had 49. And it's like all the historical numbers I'm looking at, I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, I know you don't have to, your quickness and your technique is everything, but having that strength, I mean, it used to be, that's what people wanted. And then all of a sudden it's not. But if you have that technique, and that's something that I learned too late in life, where my career was already over and I didn't listen to my coaches, that hand technique is 95% of what makes you a good lineman. Because I'm not going to go into the story, but I learned late in life it was really, really important. It didn't matter how much you could bench press. If you could keep his hands off of you, you were set. But I do want to say, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I do want to say I disagree with you a little bit on the side of you can just Zoom interview these guys. I believe you learn a lot more from. I don't know. I don't want to say you can learn a lot more, but I feel like you get a different experience sitting down at a table.
That's a good point.
Being face to face with them.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I just think it's more personal. I think you can really build that relationship a little bit better because you're there. You're closer to them. It's not just a screen. You're not just another face. I do think that that's important, but they have a pro day for that.
Exactly.
If you really want that player, going into the combine or the draft, you have your board. You know who you want. So you don't need to sit there and go, oh, I'm going to go interview Cam. The Vikings just did it. They interviewed Cam Ward. Why? Why'd you interview Cam Ward? We don't need Cam Ward. You got J.J. McCarthy. There's rumors now. Well, there's rumors everywhere. There's rumors that the Vikings are going to do a sign and trade with the Raiders. There's rumors the Vikings are going to give Darnold a multi-year deal. But it's like, why are we wasting our time interviewing players that we have no interest in because it's not a need right now? So it's yeah, I don't know. I'm hot and cold on the combine, but I do like the competitive aspect of it. You get out there, and it's the competitive side of things.
You know what? That's a great point. And you know what? And tying into that, it's so funny you would mention Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. If you ask Randy Moss who he thinks the greatest is, he's always going to say Jerry Rice, and he will give you his evidence why. If being lucky enough to have sat in a room with with both Jerry Rice and Randy Moss, right? Growing up in Mississippi, Jerry Rice had a camp that he would have, and of course all of us Mississippi receivers. That's where we would go, right? We go, you run the hill, you do all those other things with him as a lot of pro receivers would do. So you get a lot of his knowledge. But the one thing that Jerry Rice talked about, and same thing that Randy Moss talked about that he picked up from Jerry Rice, is the same thing that you just talked about. It's so perfect. You just talked about this in terms of what your coaches try to tell you when it comes to football. It's that 2% violence. And by that, it means the last act in everything you do has to be the most violent of all your actions. So even if you're receiving the ball is coming to you, your hands go up, that last 2% of the ball traveling to you is where you activate your hands to grip the ball, to catch it a certain way, to catch it in a certain pattern. When you're blocking somebody, as a wide receiver, I played on a lot of teams that the wide receivers had to block, even before you get a pass thrown to you. And I love contact, right? So I always love to block. And so, it was the whole thing of you wait, you balance yourself, you get your leverage. And then the last 2% of your activity is violence into the player to stop them. And the same thing goes with basketball, with every other sport. I started learning how these things sort of translated over. Like that last few seconds is when the action actually takes place. You set yourself up, and then the violence of action is what determines whether or not you're going to be successful, not particularly over someone else. Now, sometimes they're just better than you and what it is. And I have to, and think about what you just said. Like I think about myself as a GM. If I go to a tryout camp, because as a scout, I've gone to scouting camps for basketball before, and I've seen some. And Bob, I've seen some of the dumbest things I've seen in my life. Like, real quick and dirty. Went to basketball scouting camp. There was just one guy that everybody was talking about. He would have been 1 year behind LeBron. Going to be the next LeBron. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Well, here's what happens. He was so aggravating during the practice week leading up to the actual game where his coaches and scouts were going to be there. His coach wasn't even going to play him during the actual scouting game. Now that kind of did the kid dirty, but his attitude was so bad that coach said, "You know what? I'm not even putting you on the floor." The coach put him on the floor, and because all the kid wanted to show off, because all he bragged about all week is how good he can dunk, during the free throw line, when the other team is shooting free throws, he gets the rebound, he dunks the ball in their goal, and looks around all like, see, I'm so awesome. It's like that $1 billion talent and -7 cents mentality. Those are some of the things you see at some camps, man, that just make you go, what were you thinking about when you woke up this morning that was going to impress somebody, And it's just, and Bob, it's just crazy. It's like, you can tell who prepared. And that's why it was a great point you made about the interviews. You can tell who came here prepared, who actually did their work, who got with the track coach to run their 40-yard dash, who got with their whatever coach to practice on whatever. So, and actually practice the drills as opposed to just showed up in their underwear looking all pretty, decided I'm just going to show them how good I am. And that preparation for the combine, here's where I'm kind of torn. You show me how you're able to prepare for this as if it's your job on the line. You're telling me something about yourself. Now, granted, on the other side of it, you can fool me for 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
you can make me think that you're going to be something special. And next thing you know, you're Jamarcus Russell, ordering half the menu at a KFC and staying there until you finish it all. So, yeah, too soon. Sorry, my bad. Okay.
No, and that's the thing. It's you always have those combine studs. Penn State in recent years is historically, or in recent years it's not the word I want to use, but historically known as having these combine studs. I mean, we had Troy Apke a couple years ago, safety. His speed, his everything, it landed him on a team. I don't know. I can't remember if he's still on a team or not. I know he was on the Commanders for a while, but his speed and his ability to get down the field is what really has got him on a team. But sometimes that's all you need. I mean, if you're going to pay me a couple $100,000 a year to play special teams, sign me up. I will pay. I will take a couple $100,000 a year to go sprinting down as a gunner on the punt team, and that's just you made it to the professional level, and you can make a consistent, a good career and a good living out of it.
You're not far away from that, buddy. Listen, having sort of survived a couple of weeks on a couple of different practice squads, knowing I wasn't supposed to be there, I was just a body filling up, and somebody was doing a friend of mine a favor. This is not a bad life, dude. I'm just gonna say it's not a bad life.
It's like I'll get beat up for a few years and retire. I mean, it is what it is. But no, I mean, these guys, you can put on that show. You can prepare specifically for these things. No one's getting down in a track stance on the football field and gonna have to use that. But in today's world, and just in general, in today's world, that 0.01 time can affect you, and people are going to start talking negatively about you. I mean, you don't have to be the fastest to be the best. It's all about your preparation and how you get in, how you get it in. It's how many times have the Raiders? I know this is like deja vu because we talked about it last week, but how many times did the Raiders draft the fastest player and it just didn't work out? It's like
greatest stories ever.
Yeah. It's just that was the Raiders draft the fastest guy and we're good. This isn't college. You have to have that technique because one hit you're done. Doesn't matter how much talent you got or how whatever. The one hit you're done. But I do.
That's true.
As much as like you said, kind of preparing. You want to go in preparing like this is you're fighting for your career. One thing that I do get frustrated with is these guys that go to the combine and they don't do anything. Like you might not have anything to prove, but you're there. Just show up. Just show off. It is. You don't have anything to prove. Show off a little bit. Show off.
And you're not going to lose points. You're not going to lose points.
No, they can go and say, "Oh, he only went 15 of 20 on his throws." It's like, well, how many of those were because the receiver slowed up or it hit the receiver's hand? It's like we get it. We're going to see all those things, or the people that are there are going to see all these things. Are they going to talk negatively about them to hope that maybe I hope that one team just says, you know what, those drops were too much for me, I'm going to pass, and then now you fell into my lap. Yeah, sure, you're going to have people talking negatively like that to get you down or to get you down the board. But you're going to have people talking negatively for the rest of your life because every single little thing you do is going to be scrutinized when you're making that kind of money. When you make that kind of money.
You know who I blame for that?
Who?
You know who I blame for that, right?
Who?
Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. Okay, real quick and dirty for all our people here. Trust me, me and Big Bob are not going to keep you here where you have to order an Uber meal in to finish off the show. Deion Sanders goes to come. I apologize, I forget the year. Google it up. And the whole thing was everybody wanted to see him run because of how fast he was. He was a two-sport expected star. Everybody knew he was going to get drafted to play baseball. I believe he was drafted by the Yankees. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the deal was there was also an idea that Deion Sanders might also play basketball. And the whole thing was he was so fast. So the whole big buildup about Deion Sanders at the combine as he was walking around with that really shiny Jerry curl was what you gonna run at the combine? What you gonna run? And the whole time he kept saying, I'm not gonna run, man. Y'all know how fast I am. I'm Deion, baby. I'm prime time. I'm blah blah blah. He's just going on. So finally the day of the 40 time hits, he's still not signed up in the position of that you sign up in to actually run this time. And then he hears about some guys who were cracking 4.32s, 4.34s. I mean, really, really good times. By the way, my fastest time in the 40 officially is like a 4.49. So at least I cracked 4.5.
I'll throw it out there. I ran a 5.1 at 320, or yeah, I was
There
320.
you
I ran a
go.
5.1, and that was like what,
Oh, dude.
15 years
Dude,
ago or something.
dude, you would have killed me. I think I weighed 195. I think I weighed 195. So okay, so here we go. Deion Sanders is walking around. I'm not gonna run. So here's about these other guys that are just smoking the time. We just smoke, So I guess this would have been the combine. Oh, I forgot what year he came out. Doesn't matter. He decides that they've already run. They're putting up the times. He then gets out of his tracksuit, and this is before they had the unified whatever uniform they wear now.
Yeah.
And decides to run the 40-yard dash with basically light stretching and a quasi warm up, and he runs a 4.29. And then of course he goes, "See, baby, I told you, Prime could do it. Anything you want to do," because he wanted to crack the 4.3 because of all other guys who were in the 4.3. So, but he sort of started that whole thing about I decide if I'm going to show out for you or not. And I think from that time on, I just think it just kind of carried on to like other players who says, "Well, I ain't got to do it if I don't want to do it. If I want to do it, it's going to be on my terms." And you're still going to come to my pro day, and you're still going to come to whatever. It's all it's all about that. Give me the flower, give me the attention, please, love me.
I will give him a little more credit. You said he ran a 4.29. He did run a 4.29 on his second 40. He ran a 4.27. He ran a 4.27 on his first one. But I found that.
That's what it was.
I just wanted to confirm you saying he was drafted by the Yankees, and he was the second time he got drafted. He refused to sign with the Royals in 85, and then he was drafted by the Yankees in 88, and he signed with them. So yeah, look at that, the historical knowledge that Maestro is here dropping.
Well, look, the undercover knowledge is Florida State offered him more than.
That's true. People wanted to throw SMU under the table back then. It's like, and people are like, "Oh, Alabama's like in the recent year, Alabama's buying their team." If you think your team wasn't trying to spend money or buy things for players to come to your school, you were crazy. You were crazy. SMU wasn't spending the most money back then. They just got caught. The Patriots weren't the first team. The Patriots weren't the first team, and probably the only team recording players. They weren't. They weren't. They got caught, and it was a big deal.
And please look up all the information, because what Big Bob is telling you is so right on point. Because guess who didn't lose their case against the NFL about them recording games? Because Bill Belichick showed, here's evidence of other teams doing it. So if you're gonna do us, you got to out these other teams too. And all of a sudden it was like, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we're fine. We're good. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, last thing, Maestro, because we talked a little bit before we recorded, so we were going to keep this to 10 minutes, and we're at 22.
Oh, sorry.
But last thing I wanted to talk about, because how do you feel about if you were a GM and you have that player who just doesn't want to do any of those extra things? What does it change your mind about that player? How does that make you feel? What do you think whenever it comes time to draft that player?
To me, it really depends on how they handle it, Bob. To me, it's all about if they still present themselves. Like, for instance, if I know going into it, right? If they say, okay, so Bob, I'm looking at you, right? And then you going into the combine says, listen, I will come to the combine for interviews. I will come to the combine for other things, but I would rather focus on my pro day. You see me play there, and you handle it straight up without drama. You're not going to really change my mind about you. Yeah. It's the people who do it in a way to sort of beg me to do something at the combine, that as if they want that rose right from The Bachelor. And that tells me something about you, because you're making it about you before you do what you need to do for us. And it becomes a me, not we thing. So I'm feeling some kind of way about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's for me. Like, if I just don't do well, I don't do well with all the drama.
Right.
And it's a struggle. I know we lost Stephon Diggs a couple years ago, and he went to the Bills, and it sucked, but it was that drama that he brought. It's like, is it really worth keeping this player around he's a great player, but is it worth keeping him around to lower that morale? And morale,
Right.
that if you have low morale on a team, it doesn't matter how good you are. If that morale is down, everybody, you go out there, you're not trying as hard. It's like, if you know that every single time a ball doesn't go your way and that receiver is gonna throw his hands up and have an attitude about it, it's like, why do I want to play with him? That would make me
Mm-hmm.
not want to throw to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's refreshing. I know I didn't get a chance to see it, but everybody's saying that we need to watch this clip with Justin Jefferson and Pat McAfee, that it explained why he's not a diva. Go out there, let your playing do the talking, and you're going to
Yep.
get paid. You don't need to
Yep.
tell me. If you
Yep.
have to tell me how good you are, you're probably not as good as you think you are. If you
Mm-hmm.
have to tell me all the great things about you and you have to try and shove it down my throat, they're probably not necessarily true. At least that's my view on that kind of thing, is you let your work do the talking, and I will make my own decision. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right.
And oh, by the way, you're going to get credit if they want to give you credit or not. Big
Yep.
Bob, one year I was all district in basketball and football, and both articles talk about how poor the class was because of so many injuries. So they said the whole article about me making all district in 2 sports was because all the good players are really hurt, and these are the guys we got left. I'm just saying, you just
Yeah.
never know.
They'll always find a way. They'll always find a way. Well, Maestro, I appreciate you as always. I'm so happy that we're doing this together. Do you have any final words for the
Same.
people?
Listen, everybody, you know the deal. You know, if something you want to hear us talk about, go on and reach out. Holler at your boys. You know, we got your back. And remember, if you work hard and you work sincerely to make yourself better, somebody is watching, somebody will notice, and somebody will give you credit no matter what your numbers might be.
Absolutely. Maestro, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for watching as always, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week.